Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was such a surprise to get a nice welcome like this. It's almost as if I know you all personally. Wonderful, wonderful welcome to you all. I don't know what the traffic is like in Limerick at the moment, but the funny thing about it is I had a bit of a problem coming down the main road out of Dublin, a couple of days ago, and I got a shock. I was driving along, and I could see the blue lights in the mirror. You've all had that experience. You can see the blue lights in the distance, and I kept saying, I hope it's an ambulance. That's what I kept saying. I hope it's an ambulance. It was catching up too fast to be a fire engine. And I hoped it wasn't the Garda Síochána. The police, you see. And I'm heading along down, and as I got closer, I could then hear the sound effects. Bee-ba, bee-ba, bee, shag-and-ba. I hate that sound. Bee-ba. So I took no chances. I pulled in, and I waved them on. I said, there you go. Hup, you. Up. Waved them on, and as he passed by, I could see ambulance was spelt G-A-R-D-A. Big guard, roaring like a bullock. Out the window, pull over, pull over, pull over, pull over. I said, no, cardigan. So he passed me out, and then I passed him, and he passed me, and we went on the Naas bypass, and we were passing each other for a while. So on the other side of Trumivara, he won the pass. He pulls the Jeep up in front of me. I was like Fred Flintstone trying to stop the car. And the biggest guard, now I've seen big guards, and I really do, this guy was huge, covered from head to toe with hair. Oh no, you think his mother knitted him. And he gets out of the Jeep. It was a guarded Jeep, by the way. It wasn't just the ordinary patrol car. It was a £60,000 worth of a Jeep. And he's now not in good form. Because he's now out of his jurisdiction. Out of his jurisdiction. So he was so big he had to draw himself out of the Jeep like that. And then he put the cap on, and then he walked back to me. It was like a John Wayne. Have you ever seen John Wayne, these walks? And between ourselves, and I know I'm among friends here tonight, I thought he was after doing something. I really did, by the way he was walking, missus, I really did. I thought he was after doing something. Because I was. So, it was in such a bad way. And he came back and he had a face on him like a wet Christmas. And he looks at me like this. Well, squadron leader, he said. Could you not get her off the ground? So like you, I laughed, I said I was have a guard with a sense of humour. They're like hen's teeth, honestly. And then he looks into the car, and I was a bit fascinated. He looks into the car and he says, I couldn't believe what he said. He says, are you the driver of this vehicle? And I looked around the car. I thought maybe somebody had gotten in at the traffic lights in Naas. I didn't know what happened. Are you the driver of this vehicle, he says. So I said, well, it's like this, your guardship. I said, the car is automatic, but I have to be here to keep my eye on the wipers and the indicators. And then the humour started to drop. You know where you can feel that it's not going down to? It was going down like a lead balloon. Well, he says, do you realise, he says, you were doing 85 miles an hour on the Naas Road? I said, I couldn't be. I said, I was only in the car 20 minutes at that stage. So he had to go back for a calculator to work out what speed I had been doing. And then he asked me a few questions. He said, what have you got in your boot? I said, me foot. I was trying to be humorous. Oh, see, we have a bit of a smart ass. He says, get out of the car till I see it is as big as your mouth. So this is it. So anyway, he made a few notes and he wrote out a prescription. And he handed me, a piece of paper. I said, "What's that?" "Your guardship, superintendent." He says, "It's called a ticket." "Oh, a ticket," says I. "Is there a raffle?" Well, he says, "It's a kind of a raffle, if you like." He says, "You get 2 more like that and you get a bicycle." Don't fool around with the Garda Síochána. But I was glad that he got a good laugh out of it, if nothing else. I enjoy, ladies and gentlemen, I always do enjoy speaking about my family. And it's nice to talk about your family. Isn't it nice to talk about your family? Testing, is it? No, it's nice to talk about your family. And my uncle, 78 years of age, and I always feel if I speak about my family, I'm not offending anybody, because I'm speaking about ourselves. And I have an uncle, 78, and a wonderful, wonderful man, and very, very special person. He's actually my godfather and has a bit of a reputation for, for the women, if you don't mind me saying so. He has a touch of the Benny Hills. You know the kind of a person I'm talking about. Well, he's grey-haired. Not that I'm saying anything about grey hair, by the way. There's nothing wrong with grey hair, fellas. That's true. Ask anybody who's bald. But he has grey hair. He has a head of grey hair, but that doesn't mean anything either. Snow on the roof, plenty of fire in the cellar. That's what people say. And he chases the women. He makes no apologies about this. He's chasing the women. It's not as if my aunt doesn't know. She's his wife. She hears the rumours. The neighbours tell her everything. Your husband is chasing women. She says, "Listen, you see dogs chasing cars, but they can't drive." This uncle of mine would blow your mind. He really is the funniest guy. He really is. I want to give you an example. This is between ourselves, and as I said, I think we're among friends. My uncle has the reputation, and just around Halloween, the long weekend, he decided he wanted to go and give himself, get himself away for the weekend on his own. He kind of felt lucky, if you get my drift. So we went along to the chemist shop, you see, and he was ordering, you all know what I'm going to say, don't you? They're in the chemists nowadays, They weren't when I was a young lad. We couldn't get the things now that you see on the counter. The condominiums. I couldn't believe the height of them. They're everywhere in the chemist. Years ago, when I was a teenager, you couldn't get... They weren't even called that name. Sure they weren't, fellas? No? Are you with me? Foreign correspondent. We must have been idiots. And you couldn't go in. If there was a woman serving, you couldn't ask her for a foreign correspondent. You had to wait till she was gone off duty. I knew fellas who'd stand outside the chemist for hours looking in over the ads. Saying, "Does she ever go for lunch, that one?" And when she'd go off, the man would come out and you'd rush up to him and she'd come back out and you'd say, "Oh, give us a comb." Isn't that true, fellas? Look at the fellas, they know exactly what I'm saying. You had to buy something, hadn't you? A comb was only 3p. I had more combs in me drawer when I was 18. My mother thought I was going to be a hairdresser. When he went into the chemist shop and he's said, "Mess, mess, 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 mess." The chemist shop was packed. He was trying to skip the queue. "Mess, mess, mess." He said, "Give me 3 condominiums, miss." And she says, "Don't you dare miss me." You give us 4. Oh. Obviously. I'm sorry. He obviously got confused. She got very excited. But anyway. So being in the chemist, he decided, if it was going to be a long weekend, that he may have needed, a bit of help, you see, for what he had in mind. So he said to the guy in the chemist, he says, "Could I have a package of them old Vigoraya?"
And the chemist said, I beg your pardon? He said, I'm looking for a package of them old tablets, you know, the Vigoraya. You know, the lads for the, you know, the lads for the lad, you know, the Vigoraya. Oh, he said, you mean Viagra? Hey, he said, you give us a bag of them.
He said, this is a new product on the market. He says, do you have a prescription?
That's all. They had plenty of money, haven't they?
Well, he says, you're obviously a man, he says, of older years. He says, I couldn't give you this product. He says, this could kill you. It's a new product, it's very volatile, highly potent, and it could kill you. It'd be a great way to go. He was determined to get these tablets, you see. So the chemist kind of figured to himself, you know, the man has a sense of humour, and fair play, I'll give him one. He decided to give him a little loose Viagra. Because they don't sell them loose, they come in little packets of 4. So, no, some of the lads were telling me about, seriously, they were. So he gave him one loose Viagra. My uncle looked.
He said, I don't like it, look at it. That's a terrible shape. That'll get caught in my throat with a stiff neck. No, I won't.
No, seriously, you can. You know when you get something caught in your throat, your neck goes. I think you're making up your own jokes here tonight, aren't you?
He said, I want it mashed up. Powder it down and crush it.
So the chemist took it back and he powdered it down and he crushed it and he handed it to him on a spoon, just like a Beecham's powder. And he said, there you are. And the uncle got the spoon and he emptied it onto the back of his hand and he goes like that. The chemist says, why did you do that?
He said, at my age, it's all in your head.
It's making me happy that you're laughing, because I've had a bad day. I have to say, I've had a bad day today. I really have. Yeah, bad day. Listen, no, it could be worse. I nearly scalded myself in the shower this morning. Honestly, I got into the shower and it was turned on hot, and then the bloody handle came off. I nearly scalded myself. That's true. I went down into the car and I'm driving off. I'm winding down the window. The winder came off the door. Then I got my briefcase out of the boot. The handle came off the briefcase. I'm afraid to go to the toilet. Now. I know what you're doing. In case the chain had snapped. Oh, you are a midnight crowd here tonight. No children in this audience. But I always speak about my wife, and I really mean that, you know, I sometimes say things that because I do comedy, she's a very special, really special person. And, you know, she described me recently as being a sex symbol for women who no longer care. And it's the truth. You think I'm making this up? It is the truth. My mother, just Christmas, I got her a beautiful chair. She'll only plug it in. She's a special woman. People ask me, does she feel offended when I talk about her? Not at all. She couldn't give a she couldn't care. She finds what I say is worthwhile. You know, and she is a special woman, and she stayed with us Christmas Eve, and this is true, she hung a pair of her knickers on the line, and we lost an hour of daylight. Now, that will give you an idea. A company in America has made a living image, a life-size image of my wife's mother, Lily, and they have it now as a scarecrow. It's on test in Utah and Oregon in America, and they have it on test at the moment as a scarecrow, and they said it's brilliant now. Not only does it scare away the crows, but it makes them bring back whatever they took last year. That's the effect it has. But she's a special and a wonderful person, and I wouldn't say anything about it. She was putting her dentures in her mouth the other day, and she put them in upside down. She nearly ate the head of herself trying to speak. Paddy, my father-in-law, what can I say about such a wonderful man? And they do have a wonderful relationship, you know. And he took her on a cruise. And they were out from the high seas. And on these cruise ships, by the way, I have to say that the room you get is usually not very big. It's adequate. There's just a small bed, you know, just enough to get into. And sometimes there's a balcony where you can look out. And then the bathroom, the toilet and bathroom shower It's the same unit. It's basically the same. There's a sink, a jacks, and a shower. Just a curtain. So Lily was in taking a shower. And it's a very, very difficult place in these small places, you know. Paddy was already after being in taking a shave and a shower, and the shape of the place wasn't good. So she went in for a shower in the area, the shade. She decided to get out of the shower and go straight to the bowl, the toilet thing. And Paddy was on the balcony having a smoke, you see. And these toilets on the ships, these toilets, they're like the ones in the planes. You know the modern toilets now in the planes? You've had the experience, have you? Everybody remembers, you know, the first experience of the vacuum toilet. You just hit the button. And it's a fool's advice I give you. Never hit the button while you were seated. Make sure you're up off the seat before. Oh, the vacuum. We'll clean you out. So, honestly, to take the intestines and all out of you. But it's even worse on the cruise ship. So she sits down, whatever way she was sitting down, Paddy's on the balcony having a smoke, and she was rummaging or whatever she was at. She could have been knitting, I don't know. Didn't her elbow hit the flusher? Paddy, help! Paddy says he felt the ship shudder. He nearly burnt the lip off himself with a cigarette. And he ran in, and there she was. He said it was the funniest thing. He didn't want to laugh. She was the opposite to an iceberg. Do you know the situation? You know the way the iceberg is 2/3 under, 1/3 above? She was the other way around. 2/3 above, 1/3 of her was gone into the jack. Knees. Oh, you could see her knees. Terrified him. She said, help me, Paddy, help me.
We can hardly lift you when you're dry. He says, I'll get the ship's plumber.
She says, I've nothing on me, I've no clothes.
He says, I'll cover you, I'll cover the important part.
Mercy of God, he had his hat with him. He came around and he got the hat and he kind of threw the hat in, and she's sitting there with the hat on her lap. Now, God bless us, and I don't mean to be rude, but the come up. An Irish plumber with the plunger and the bag of tools.
Oh no, hold on. Where's the woman?
Paddy says, you won't need the plunger, he said, for a start. He says, we need tire levers for this. So she's sitting there with the hat on her lap, and your man looks in like this, and Paddy says, can you help her?
Oh my God, he says, I can help her, but the little lad with the hat is a goner.
But you know, holidays are things, you know. Spain, for instance, now, a lot of people go to Spain for the holidays. I like it because my wife hates it. She's the opposite to me. She hates Spain ever since the experience in the lift with the Spaniard. And she hates it. And when I have an opportunity, so I went to Spain fairly recently with a couple of pals of mine, and we decided to go. A couple of guys. Now, these fellas, by the way, were unattached, by the way. I was the only married one among them. So, you know, I went off just to keep an eye on them. So, and she gave me my instructions. You be careful. You're with your cronies. You're with your friends. You be careful in Spain. Don't be carrying on. Stay away from them senoritas. And the juniorita. And don't be throwing your weight around. Always remember when you're in Spain, they're the foreigners, not you. And talk slowly while you're there. So she gave me the full instructions, talk slowly, do everything. I said, fine. Now, it's hard to imagine this, but I went off with the guys, and it was a chartered flight, by the way, and I'm not saying anything, not mentioning any names, but this was ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. I mean, there was parts missing on the plane. That's what worried me, you know. And I can live, you know, if it was a nut or a bolt or maybe a bulb or something. But a wing, I mean, really. We got on this blooming plane, and we had to break all the windows on this side. We went down the runway with our hands out the windows like this. Honestly. And it took us 7 hours to get to Spain. I'll never forget that. From Dublin to Spain, absolutely, it was 7 hours. We had to do some crop spraying in Wales on the way over. So we got to Spain. We got to Alicante, I think is the airport, isn't it? You know that area? We went over Madrid, but when we got over to this area on the east coast of Spain, and we landed at about midnight when we landed, quite close to the airport. And we went inside, and there's a big sign, and it says topless restaurant, 5 kilometres. Now, being married, of course, and you know, the lads were very excited. You know, we want to go there, we want to go there. So I'm trying to explain to the taxi driver, because I said I'd go with him just in case they got lost. And I'm trying to tell the taxi driver, topless restaurant, of course, talking to the wall. Okay? No, I said topless restaurant. Yum, 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 yum. Anyway, he took us to a cafe with no roof. It was terrifying. An outdoor cafe. I ordered a bowl of soup in a thunderstorm. It took me 2 hours to finish. And I may as well be, the waiter was like Manuel from Fawlty Towers. I said to him, I'd like steak and mushrooms, please. Okay? No, I said steak and mushrooms. Okay? So I kind of did, you know, an improvise. I did the sound of a cow. Wasn't that good? I couldn't do the sound of a mushroom. I was sorry then I hadn't ordered steak and onions. Well, I could have, you know, improvised. I eventually took his notebook and I sketched a cow on a mushroom. And he goes, comprende. He comes back 15 minutes later with an umbrella and a ticket for the bullfight. I never forget. I was interested in the food. That's all I was interested in. I'm always interested in food because I love food. I really do. I wouldn't eat anything else. And the lads were interested in the girls. You know, my 3 friends, now much younger than me, and as I said, unattached. And the lads were saying, if you have to attract attention, one of the fellas said, the best place to do it is on the beach. He says, you walk along the beach and you attract, you know, because as you know, in Ireland, we don't wear the Bermudas. You know, we wear the grape crushers, as we call them. The contoured, tight trunks. And he says, you walk along the beach in the morning, and he says, you basically, you know, put yourself on show. And he said, if you see something, you know, that, if you have something that, you know, may catch your attention, he says, you could be lucky. And one of the other fellas says, he said, you can use a potato as well. So, I says, no, seriously, it's just, it apparently just adds a little bit to it, you see. So I got a golden wonder. Now I got a good big nubbly one. I wasn't taking any chances. I got the golden wonder, and I must have been drunk after the night before. 8:30 in the morning, and I'm walking along the beach like this with my golden wonder. Now, I have to say that the reaction from the women was overwhelming. Hundreds of women jumping up from their beach towels and everything, running away. Screaming. There were women who couldn't swim, were 200 feet out from the beach. And I said, what's going on? And I went back to the guy who suggested, I said, what's this, I said, about the potato down your togs? What is the story? He says, you're supposed to put it down the front. Thank you so much. I've a shocking thirst on me, haven't I? I don't know. I think I'm half Irish, half Scottish. I think I am. One half of me wants to buy a drink, the other half doesn't want to pay for it. I had a dream recently, ladies and gentlemen, and I mean this. I had a dream recently about one of our great, great people in Ireland, Daniel. I dreamt about Daniel. So excited. And I dreamt that he was engaged to a Scottish girl. And she came over to visit him in Donegal, and she bought him a little gift for the engagement. She bought him a roll of tartan material. And she handed it to him. And she says, "Och, my Daniel, this roll of material is for you." And Daniel was very grateful and graceful to accept it. You know, he said, "Och, you're very kind. Och, I love it. Well, look, it looks great." She says, "I want you to get a kilt made out of that material so you look like a Scotsman. Oh, says I'll get a kilt, I will. Now, Daniel's mother didn't want her staying with him because they were only engaged. She didn't want him interfered with. So, she didn't even want him to be in the same hotel, but she had to go across the Glenties to stay in her hotel. Daniel stayed in his own hotel. Went to the dressmaker and had the material. He says, could you make us a kilt out of that? And the dressmaker said, no problem, Daniel. And she measured him, you know, so excited. You know, she measured him all around and she didn't, you know. He said, could you measure me again? So she had him measured. And she says to him, she says, there's enough material here, she says, for 2 kilts. He says, I don't want 2. He says, would you mind making me a pair of boxer shorts? I'd like a pair of boxers in case there's a breeze. And I look the same all over. So she says, I'll have it ready for you tomorrow. The following day he came back and he collected the kilt, he collected the boxer shorts, and she says to him, she says, I have a couple of yards of material left over. He says, I'll hold on to it in case I get a hole in one. So he brought the kilt home and the boxer shorts and the spare material, excited with himself. His mother organised him that night. She had him dressed like a new pin. The kilt on him, beautiful frilly shirt, pair of Michael Flatley's old shoes. And she'd no spurring for the kilt, you see, but there was an old dead badger out the back. And she hung the tail of the badger on as a spurring. And it was a very cold night in Donegal that night, and Daniel likes to cycle. But in the excitement of the evening that was in it, didn't he forget? No. He forgot to put on the boxer shorts. So he goes outside, it was below 0 temperatures, and he gets up on his bicycle to cycle across the Glenties to the girlfriend. Now, he didn't realise he'd nothing on because it was freezing, he was numb. And his mother, she said, she found the boxers. My Daniel will be frozen. Oh, God, he'll freeze to death. He's meeting his girlfriend tonight. Oh, he'll be frozen. Oh, she'll break it off. Please, there is no need to carry on like this, making up your own jokes. By the time he got to the other hotel, he was stuck to the bike. He had to get off the bike twice. Went into the hotel, warmed himself up a little bit at the fire in the lobby, and he goes up to the room where the girl, this is all my dream. This is all came true in my dream. That's so he won't sue. And because I don't really know Daniel. I don't know Daniel at all. I met his solicitors. But warms himself up at the fire, goes up to the room where the girlfriend was staying, knocks on the door, and she comes out. She says, my Daniel, you look beautiful in your kilt. I never saw you look so beautiful. You're more beautiful than a real Scotsman in your kilt. I'm glad I bought you the material. And Daniel says, I'm glad you like it. He says, I'm glad you like it. But he says, wait till I show you. He says, wait till I show you what I got underneath it. When he goes, whoa! She collapsed. She was up like a shot. She nearly ocked herself to death. I've never seen anything like her. It's a dandy. And he says, I'm glad you like it. And he says, I have a couple of yards of it at home as well. Agnes and Lily having their conversation. Very, very seniors, but great women. Agnes. Yes, Lily. Oh, how are you, Lily? Haven't seen you for a while now, really and truly. She says, I haven't seen you for a year. How have you been getting on, Agnes?
Very well, Lily. I'm just trying to cope with the prices of meat. You know, it's gone very dear now. I was in the butcher shop the other day getting an estimate for a half pound of mince. And there's a very impotent cur, works in it. Long hair and a ponytail and the earrings. And I said, excuse me, Sonny, I says, can I have half a pound of sausages, please? And he looks back and he says, Madam, he says, are you ignorant? He says, it's kilos now, kilos. I said, is that right? Well, should I give us a half a pound of kilos, so. And I says, while you're over there, and I said, can I have 2 slices of corned beef, sliced very thin? And he looks at me as if I had 2 heads. And he waits till there was a few people in the shop, and he shouts over, he says, are you inviting anybody to the party, Mrs.? And I said back to him, I says, well, I'm not having a party on this occasion, I says, but if ever I am having a party, and should I require the use of a pig's head for the table, you're me man. I said, how are you getting on, Agnes? Well, she says, I went to the pictures recently, she says, with Phyllis O'Donnell, you know, and I went along with her, and we went to see Dr. Shivico, and I hadn't been to the pictures for 20 years, so I handed in £1 for the 2 of us. And I says, 2 seats, and she says, that'll be another £7.50. I says, for what? She says, Dr. Shivago. I says, is he a specialist or what? You know the one that works in the cinema, you know, your woman from 45. Yes, that one. I remember her over the years, out of a Saturday night to sow her wild oats, and into Mass on a Sunday morning to pray for a crop failure. I know that now. And she says, what about you, Lily? She says, I hear you haven't been well. Well, she says, I haven't been too good, no. She says, I have my problems. What about you, Agnes? She says, I lost my husband. Oh, you did? Yes, I lost, yes. Gone, finished. I said, I'm sorry to hear that. I said, did he leave you much? Oh, she says about 3 or 4 nights a week, usually. Fond of the drink, you know, and that's it. Well, I said, I'm very sorry. I said, big funeral. But she says, it wasn't a very big funeral. She says, it went on longer than we expected, you know. You know, I decided to have him cremated, you know. You know, the amount of whiskey he drank in his lifetime. Took 3 days to put out the fire, you know. And she says, was it expensive? Well, she says, the most expensive thing, she says, I found, she says, was the wake. Now, it took us a while, you know. 2 fellas came to the door one night, and they were drunk, you know. And one of them says, does the dead man live here? They didn't know him from Adam. And they threw themselves on their knees around the piano. And one of them said, he'd a great set of teeth, whoever he was. A few bad ones here and there. And then I went to put the ad. When I put the ad in the paper, I have to tell you now, she says, Agnes, it cost me more than I thought. I says, how much is an obituary advertisement? And they said, the minimum is 3 words. So I said, 3 words. 3 words. I said, will you just put in the paper for me? I said, Paddy is dead. And I was on my way out, and they called me back and they said, look, we're having a slow week in the paper this week. They said, we'll give you 6 words for the price of 3. Well, I said, that's very kind, I said, just put in, Paddy is dead, Toyota for sale. I said, what about your problem, Agnes? Have you had a problem recently? Yes, she says, I have. I'm bound. She says, I can't move. I said, are you taking anything for it? Well, she says, I went to the doctor, you know, and he prescribed syrup of figs, and it was no use. No. Nothing at all. Went back 2 days later, he gave me a prescription, and he told me to take it to the chemist, and the chemist said, you know, a bit nosy, you know, he says, are you having I said, yes. Well, he says, take 3 spoonfuls of this, he says, before you go to bed. And he says, just be careful. Don't sleep very heavy, he says. Don't have too many clothes over you. and you might leave the light on in the bathroom to be on the safe side. Well, I was looking forward to it. I may as well tell you, Lily. I went home. 2 days later, I was back with the doctor, and I says to him, I says, nothing. He says, I don't know what you're doing. I says, but nothing. I can't go at all. So anyway, Lily, he says to me, he says, I'm going to give you one of these. He says, this is the ultimate for what your problem is. So he shows me this thing anyway, Lily, in his hand. And I look at it and I said, what is that? And he says to me, he says, that's a suppository. I said, I'd never swallow one of them, I said. That'll choke me, I said. He says, you don't swallow it. He says, this is a, he says, you place it, he says. So I'm looking at him. I said, where? Where would I be placing one of them? I thought he was out there losing his marbles, Lily. He says to me, when you go home, before you go up to bed, he says, you place that in the back passage. And you don't go out for 48 hours. Anyway, Lily, I was back with him 2 days later, and I says to him, I says, you're making a fool out of me. I'm going to sue you, I said. Nothing happened. He says, I don't believe it. He says, did you do with it what I told you? He says, did you place it in the back passage before you went to bed? And I looked at him and I said, well, it's like this, doctor. I says, I didn't want to say it at the time. But I says, I live in a council house. And there are no back passages. I said that we have a little side entrance for bringing in the coal. But she says, we have a porch out the front. I says, I looked at this yoke and I says, so this won't know the difference between the front of the house or the back of the house. She says, I went out to my porch before I went. I placed it beside the geranium in the front porch. She says, I went off to my bed and she says, for all the good it did me, she says, I may as well have been sticking it up me. But anyway.
Oh, God forgive you. Absolutely a wonderful. I think it's time to meet someone special, is it? Let's meet Butler.
You are all looking at me. See, when I was a little boy, just after the operation, see, we were very, very unfortunate. We never got holidays. We never got holidays when we were kids. Never got any holidays. My daddy used to mention places I'd be visiting. You know, when he'd have a few drinks on him. You know, places like Kingdom Come. Did your daddy ever tell you were going to Kingdom Come? Or that other place, middle of next week. I used to think it was like Butlins or Disneyland. And we were always, I was afraid of my daddy because when my daddy used to hit me, he wouldn't even put himself out. Oh, getting a box off me, Dad. He'd call me across the street. Come over here till I hit you. Come over here. But sometimes I wish I was knocked down before I got down. He'd hit you. And you'd see stars. I remember stars up close. The kids today see them on jet wars. But I'll never forget one of the great things. Me and Rasher went into a pub in Dublin one day, and the two of us walked in, and the barman was there, and we said, give us 2 points. And the barman says, get out. I said, give us 2 points before the row starts. And the barman said, I told you once, I'll tell you again, out. And he got a lemon, I'll never forget it, and he puts the lemon in the middle of the counter. Right in the middle of the counter. And he gets his fist, bang, like that. There was pips and skin everywhere. And he says, now he says, that could be your head if you don't get out. And me pal, he was really fast. He took a flick knife out of his pocket like that. And he took an apple out of the other pocket. And he threw the apple up in the air like that. And he got the knife and he peeled it. and he cored it. And he cut it in 4 before it landed. The barman said, "Did you want Guinness or Murphy's now, which?" It's true. We were very excited as kids. Yeah, we were. My great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, he was great. My great-great-great-grandfather, he was killed in the Battle of Clontarf. Did you know that? Did you know that? No. Now, he wasn't in the battle. He lived next door. And he went in to complain about the knife. But we were always happy kids. And I remember in school one day, the teachers... See, our teacher hated us all. He had no favourites. And he used to pick out people in the classroom. Rasha, razor, pockets... And yes, Hatchet. Question for you, Hatchet. When did Napoleon die? Yeah, I didn't even know he was sick.
Get out there with the rest of them, stupid boy. Little boy here, Pockets McGettigan. Can you name 3 of Santa's reindeers?
3 of Santa's reindeers. Rudolph.
Yes.
Prancer.
Yes.
And Olive.
No, there was no Olive.
There was. It's in the song. Olive, dear darling.
Get out there. Get out to the line. Little boy here, where is God?
God is in heaven.
No, that's not the answer I have.
Can I phone a friend?
God is everywhere.
He couldn't be everywhere.
He is everywhere.
I can prove he's not. Is he in America right now?
Yes.
Is he in Japan?
Yes.
Okay. Is he in my back garden on my swing?
Yes.
Haha, fooled you. I have no swing in my back garden.
Come up here. Come up here. Pockets, how many feet in the yard?
It depends how many people are standing in the yard at the time.
You. Where was Anne Boleyn beheaded?
Under the chair, down here.
Are you trying to make a monkey out of me?
No, I wouldn't interfere with nature.
Rasha, what do you make after a sentence? Little boy here, give me 3 fruits beginning with the letter T.
3 fruits. Tangerine.
Very good.
A tin of peaches and a tin of pears.
Come up here with the rest of them, you stupid nincompoop.
He looked at a fellow one day, Razor Mulligan, and he said,
Razor, who knocked down the walls of Jericho?
He said, "It wasn't me, I swear, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't." The child went berserk. He went mad. The child went home to his mother. The mother was mortified. And the following day, the mother came into the school because the child couldn't sleep that night.
And the teacher said, "Good morning, ma'am."
She said, "I'll give you good morning." What happened here yesterday?
Well, he said, a rather funny thing happened. He said, I asked your son yesterday, who knocked down the walls of Jericho? And he said it wasn't him.
And she said, "If my child says he didn't knock that wall down, then he didn't knock it down." In fact, he was in the house that night. I remember he was...
And the following day, the teacher went up to the child's father up in the house, you see. The father was in bed, looking for work. The teacher arrived at the house and he says to the father, he says, "A rather funny thing happened." He said, "I want to explain." He says, I asked your son on Monday who knocked down the walls of Jericho, and he said it wasn't him. And I explained it to your wife, and she says,
"If my child says he didn't knock that wall down, he didn't knock it down."
And the father says, well, he says, "I don't want any trouble in this house. How much did this wall cost?" We were always in trouble. My granda was sitting at the table one day and my sister was there and she says, "Granda, do your impression of a frog." My granda says, "I don't do impressions." She says, you do an impression of a frog." He says, I don't know what you mean. But she says, Mammy told us when Grandad croaks, we're all going to Disneyland. Kids would hang it. Kids would hang it. I mean, I know what I'm talking about. Well, on the street one day, me and Wacker O'Neill. And there was a nun trying to cross the road, and she was an elderly nun, and we helped her across. We dragged her across, stopped all the traffic, and got her safely to the other side. And she was so excited, and she says, thank you, boys, thank you. I said, that's all right, ma'am. Any friend of Batman is a friend of ours. And didn't this woman, there was a woman coming up the street, and me and Wacker got a terrible fright, because she wasn't fully covered. We could see. Wasn't fully covered. And we were looking, and we're trying to tell her, Ma'am, you're not fully covered. She didn't know what we meant. I'm going, head lampo expose. And she looked down, oh, she God, I left the child on the bus. I'm serious. I'm not making this up. We never got any, we never. I remember one day I said to my daddy, I said, Daddy, what would happen if my little pet rabbit Peter died? And my daddy says, well, if he died, he says, we'd have to bury him. He says, we put him in a shoebox and we bring him down to the end of the garden and we dig a hole and I get all your friends over because I know you'd be sad. And he says, we'd bury him and we put a little notice to say that he's there. And then I'd bring you in and I'd get you all nice bags of crepes and lovely cakes and ice cream and lemonade. He said, Daddy, can we kill him now? Because the teacher, Miss Higginbottom, said to me in school one day, she says, Butler, she says, how come you don't bring me any fresh raisins in the morning anymore? I said, because me pet rabbit died. She was so upset. She really was. Wacker had a pig. He brought the pig to school every day, and the teacher says, Wacker, he said, what? Where do you keep the pig at night? He said, he sleeps in the bed with me. And the teacher said, what about the smell? He said, well, he's getting used to it now. Never forget. See, we were different in school because in our day, it was totally different, it was. We had to go and learn the things. We know them computers, no, nothing else. We could do it in our heads. Couldn't we all do it in our heads? Everybody could do it in their head, and the tables was no exception. Every day the teacher said, now we're going to learn the tables, the 2 times tables. 2 1s are 2, 2 2s are 4, 2 3s are 6, 2 4s are 10, 2 5s are 10, 2 6s are 12, 2 7s are 14. And we sang them because we knew all. So he's looking around and said, Razor McCulley, sing the 3 times. 3? Yes. 3 1s are 3, 3 2s are 6, 3 3s are 9, 3 4s are 12, 3 4s are 15, 3 6s are 18, 3 7s are 21, 3 8s are 24, 3 9s are 27, 3 10s are 30. And he flew through them. No, the fella did it 4 times. I'll never forget it. Rasher Coyle was sitting down at the back of the class. Rasher, sing the 12 times tables. 12? Yes. Could you ask someone else? Ask Wacker Walker. No, I'm not asking anybody, I'm asking you. Sing the 12 times tables. So he was terrified. And he goes, 12. Did you? Do. 12 1s are 12, 12. 12. 12. 12 1s are 12. 12 2s are another 12. La 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 la. He said, what's all this la-la business? He said, I know the air, but I just can't remember the words. Good night, everybody. Good night. Who said that?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being so nice and so wonderful. was this Irish-American fella on the train, and he goes up to the ticket office and says, "Hi, from America, I'd like to take this train. I need to go to Thurles."
You're going to where?
Thurles.
Oh, Thurles in County Tipperary.
Yes, sir.
Well, he said, you won't be going today.
He said, "This train goes through Thurles."
He says it does, but it doesn't stop.
How the hell am I going to get out in Thurles?
He says, I might be able to look after you there.
So he gave the guy £20, and he says, "I appreciate you looking after me."
He says, not at all. He says, come over till I introduce you to the conductor.
So the conductor,
He says, lad here from America wants to get off in Thurles, and you might be able to help him. No bother at all. I'll help you.
so the American now, he's now handed out two 20s. He says, "I appreciate this."
That's not at all. He says, we're here to help. That's why we're here.
Coming up to the driver.
We might be able to help this American here. He's getting off at Thurles. Driver said, I'll be able to help you there.
So now, if you can imagine, he's now got a return ticket, and he's handed out £60. And he says, "I appreciate this, sir. You know, I got to go to Thurles. I got to go to a wedding here today, a long-lost cousin, and I'm happy to appreciate you stopping the train in Thurles."
He says, well, we won't be stopping it.
How am I going to get out?
He says, we'll slow it down. He says, goddamn, I'll be killed. Not at all. He says, we'll train you. So he says, here's what we do. He says, when we're a bit outside of Portlaoise, I'm going to blow the whistle 3 times. I'll be doing 85. He says, have you any bags?
Well, he said, I have a suitcase here, and I have a gift here for the bride and groom. It's a 3-piece Waterford glass.
Yes, we might be able to improve on it. We'll slow the train down at the beginning of the station. We'll open the door and we'll throw out the case and the present. And then I'll get the train down to 25, and the conductor here will lift you up with the shoulders, and you'll get your legs running. And at the beginning of the platform, we'll touch you down, and you'll have the legs going, and you'll have the full length of the platform to stop.
You got to be kidding me, guy. You got to be kidding.
Not at all. He says, it'll work. It'll work.
The American went back. He had a few whiskies and everything else. Thought he was after losing his mind, but he says, I'll chance it. 3 whistles. The train is now slowing down from 85 to 25, coming into Thurles station. The door opens. The American is up the front. The fella picks him up, throws out the bags, and he says, no bon voyage. Get your legs running. And the American gets the legs running, and he holds him up like that, touches him down, and the American is running along the platform. The train is going... And the American is running along the platform. He thinks he's going to kill himself. Try to slow himself down. And just when the last carriage was going by, the door opens and a big hand comes out and says, yes, you nearly missed it, didn't you? I don't know. It's special. It's special, you know. When we can laugh at things we do, isn't it special, isn't it? You know, when he got back on the train, he lost his seat. There was a big lady sitting down, and she had a poodle sitting beside her. A poodle dog. The American came back and said, ma'am, he said, can you remove your dog? I want to sit down.
He said, no. That's Fifi.
He said, I want to sit down there, ma'am.
She says, you're not sitting there. That's Fifi's seat.
So the American walked up and down, couldn't find a seat, came back. He says, I'm going to ask you one more time. I got to sit down.
She said, that's Fifi's seat.
So he grabs the poodle. He opened the window of the train and he flung the dog out. The dog went sailing across the field. And a woman jumps up out of the seat and she's running up and down, screaming, looking for the chain to pull. She's roaring. The American just sat down. He sat right in the chair, opened his newspaper, and there's a little woman from Dublin watching him from the other side. Little woman, knitting, on the free travel.
She said, you're an American.
Well, that's right, ma'am.
Yes, indeed. An American from America.
Well, he said, that's where we're from. Yes, we are from the good old USA.
Yes, indeed. I knew it. You're a Yank.
Well, he says, some of us are. I'm from the United States of America. He says, how do you know?
Well, she says, you as American, you do everything arse-wise. You as Americans do everything wrong.
So what do you mean?
Well, she says, you eat your food with the fork in the wrong hand. You drive on the wrong side of the road. And she says, just now, you're after throwing the wrong bitch out through the window.
This may sound like I'm giving a plug to a product, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm not really. Guy comes over. I've always, whenever I work around, particularly in America and Canada, in fact anywhere, but particularly in America, I do my shows. I always like to mention, same as, any of us who entertain, we like to mention where we're from and do a little bit of promo for Ireland. And I always do mention, certain products. I mention Guinness. And the reason I do is because I was born and bred beside Guinness's brewery in Dublin. And I happen to like Guinness. My father loved it. And, my father was actually, he had shares in Guinness's. Yes, indeed. Non-redeemable. But he spent a lot of money there. And this beautiful, fantastic drink, Guinness, is so special. So when I mention Guinness, I'll tell them it makes your toes open and close. I'll tell them it's the national beverage. It's good for you. Makes you feel younger. They like that. They like that when it makes you feel younger. So these two fellas came over, never, ever been in Ireland before. Roger and Dennis. And they came over to Ireland, and they'd never, ever been here in their lives. And I told them already that this is the special drink. It's the national beverage, the Guinness. So they're driving out of Shannon Airport, and they're heading towards Kerry, almost out through Adare, and the thirst is building up. Gotta have ourselves some of the national beverage. Say there, can you remember the name? Remember the fat guy with the beard? What's the name of the national beverage? The other fella says, I forgot. I plumb forgot. And they drove along, they went out through Newcastle West, and they're almost in Abbeyfield. And the thirst was so much that they couldn't believe. And it was just a coincidence. He said, this is a new drink, it makes you feel younger. And as they're turning the corner into Castle Island, there's a display in the chemist shop in the window. It says, Drink Andrews. Now, it was a coincidence. Drink Andrews makes you feel younger. He said, God damn, that's the name of the national beverage of Ireland. Gonna have ourselves some Andrews. So they walk in to this is true, they walk into this little bar, little pub, and they say, hi, we're from the United States of America. We'd like 2 pints of Andrews, sir. Tiny little pub, tiny little place. And the fella said, you want two what? Oh, yeah, we want 2 pints of Andrews, sir.
Is it Andrews?
Yes, sir, it's a national beverage.
No. More of a natural beverage.
Well, he said, we want 2 pints of Andrews, sir.
Is it, are you bound or what?
What is it, we're bound for Killarney.
Yeah, you'll be bound fairly quick.
So he wasn't going to lose the sale. He put the 2-pint glasses up and he got the can of Andrews and a trowel. And he's put 2 big gollops of Andrews in and he stirred it up and God, there was bubbles going all over the place. Bubbles everywhere. And the tour market says, Slanja. They drank it quicker than you'd throw it out. And the fella behind the bar is kind of going, backing away from them. We want 2 more pints of Andrews, sir.
You won't be getting it here now, you know. There's a bigger pub down the road. They have more facilities than I have.
He said, come on, sir. We want 2 more pints of Andrews because we got to run now.
Did you mention it all right?
So we gave them 2 more pint glasses and filled them up further with Andrews. So, hi there, will make you feel younger? Slant out. And the fella at this stage had asked his wife to come out as a witness. Because he couldn't believe that the Americans were paying for Andrews. And he said to her, Molly, come out.
Couple of lads drinking Andrews and they're paying for it. Bring out the old mop as well. Bring out them. And the bucket. Bring out the bucket as well. And an umbrella.
So on the 3rd pint of Andrews, as the lads are drinking it, he's down behind the counter with the missus. And he waits through the silence. Not as much as a sound. Now he's hiding down with the umbrella up, And eventually there's a kind of a bit of a rumble. Kind of a... There's glasses cracking on the shelves. There's bottles dancing, large bottles jump. And eventually, a thump to the floor. And he jumps up at the missus, and one of the Americans is standing up, the other fella is on the floor. Stuck to him, couldn't he? And the guy standing says, "Say there, do you feel any younger?" The other fella says, "No, but I've just done something very childish, I gotta tell you."